This is Circles revision for Year 8, starting from question 11. In this question, we're asked to find the area of the circle. Now, the first thing you should do, because they're asking for the area of the circle, you should write down what the formula for area of a circle is. And the area of a circle is area equals pi r squared. You then need to look at your diagram and see whether you've been given the diameter d or the radius r. Now we've got this distance here from the center of the circle to the outside, so that means that we've been given that the radius r is 5.5 meters. That means we can just put that r straight into the formula and we don't have to go and change anything. So again, I'll just write out the formula again, that area equals pi r squared, which means pi times r squared, and in this case it's pi times 5.5 squared. Just go to your calculator and calculate what pi times 5.5 squared is, and I get that it's 95.03, and it's area, so the units will be squared units, so I've got 95.03 meters squared. So the answer for that question is C. Now I'm going to look at question 12. Again, in this question, you're asked to find the area of this circle. Now, there is only one area formula with circles, and that formula is that area equals pi r squared. So we have to use that formula. There's no other formula that you can use for area. You then look at your diagram and you see whether you've been given D or R. And in this diagram, we've been given that the diameter is 8. So we write that out, that the diameter is 8. But for our formula for area equals pi r squared, we need to know what the radius is. Now, the diameter is from one end of the circle to the other, passing through the center. So the radius is half of that. It's from the center to the outside. So if the diameter is 8, then the radius is half of 8, which is 4. And I've just written that out there, that the radius is 4. So now we can do the question. We can use the formula, area equals pi r squared, and we substitute in that r is 4. We don't substitute in 8. So I'll just put that over here. So we've got that area equals pi r squared, which is pi times 4 squared. I'll just move this area equals pi r squared over here. So it's pi times 4 squared, and I'll just do that on my calculator, and I get that the area is 50.265, and if I round that off, I get 50.27 centimeters squared. Because it's area units, you need squared units. So the answer is B. That's the end of question 12. Now, in question 13, you're asked to find the circumference of this circle here. Now, just remembering, for circumference of a circle, you're given, there are actually two formulas to choose from. And the two formulas that you can choose from, I'll just put it down here, are circumference equals pi d or circumference equals 2 pi r. So to decide which formula to use, again, you need to look at your diagram and see whether you've got r or d. And in this diagram, we've got the distance from the center to the outside. So we've got that the radius is 5.8 centimeters. So we've got what r is. So we look at these two formulas and we say, right, we have to use the second formula because it's the formula with r in it. We don't use the first formula because it's got the d in it. So now I'll write out my formula again, that circumference equals 2 pi r, and I've written it there. And that really means 2 times pi times whatever r is, and r is 5.8, so we go, it equals 2 times pi times 5.8. Can work that out on my calculator. 2 times pi times 5.8, and I get 36.4. I'll just do this one to, oh, they want it to 2 decimal places. It's 36.442 whatever. I won't write the rest of it. We'll actually just do a bit of rounding practice here now. So if we want to round that to 2 decimal places, so I keep my 36.4, that's the first decimal place. Now I have to decide what this second decimal place is. So this second decimal place here, does it stay as 4? Or does it go up to 5? So what I do, I look at the digit after. So I'm looking at the highlighted number afterwards, which is a 4. Now that highlighted number is less than 5. So if you want to round to 2 decimal places, you actually have to look at the third decimal place, which is highlighted in yellow. So because that highlighted number in yellow is less than 5, we don't round up, we just keep that 4 in front of it the same. So our answer is 36.44, and our units here are centimetres, and our units in our answer are centimetres as well, because circumference is the distance around the circle. That's what we're actually finding, and it's a length. Okay, so our units are centimetres, not centimetres squared. Now we're looking here at question 14, and in this question we're asked to find the area of this circle. Now as soon as they ask you to find the area of a circle, you should write down what the formula for area of a circle is, and there is only one formula, and that formula is that area equals pi r squared. So to use the formula, you need to know what r is. Now r is the radius, but you look at your diagram and they haven't given you r, they've given you the distance all the way across from one end of the circle to the other through the center. So they've given you the diameter, which is 11. So I'll just write that up here, that we've been given that the diameter is 11 centimeters. Now remembering that the radius is half the diameter, so on your calculator you can do 11 divided by 2, and you get that the radius is 5.5 centimeters. So now this is enough information to start the question. So once again, I will write out my formula that area equals pi r squared, which means pi times r squared. So on my second line, it's pi times whatever the radius is, and that's 5.5, and square it, of course. And so you do that on your calculator, pi times 5.5 squared. We'll get that the answer is 95.03317. That's enough decimal places there. Now once again, we have to round it to 2 decimal places. So we start writing out our answer, and we can write 95.0, that's the first decimal place, the 0 is the first decimal place. And we have to decide, does this 3 stay the same here, or does it change? So to decide on the second decimal place, just remember you need to look at the third decimal place. So I've highlighted the third decimal place in yellow, so the third decimal place is 3. Now that 3 is less than 5, so that means that the number in front of it, the other 3, stays the same. So it's 95.03. Now, the units for our answer, because we want the area, remember area is always squared units, so my answer, the units will be centimetres, because centimetres is given in the question, but it will be centimetres squared, because it's area units. So that's our answer. 95.03 centimetres squared, and that answer has been given to 2 decimal places. Now we will look at question 15, and in question 15 we're told that the diameter of the Earth is 12.755 kilometres. I mean, if you want, you can do a little sketch, so I'll just put a little circle down here. And we're told that the diameter is 12,755 kilometres. And so I've just drawn in the diameter there in blue, and the length of that diameter is 12,755 kilometres. I don't know if I can fit it in, I'll just write it on there. Okay, so you have to decide which formula you're going to use. Now they're saying find the circumference of the circle correct to the nearest kilometre. So when you see the word circumference, you have to think, now what are the 2 formulas for circumference? And the 2 formulas are circumference equals pi d, and the other formula is circumference equals 2 pi r. So you look at your diagram and you see that you've been given d. So we have to use the first formula, which is circumference equals pi d, and I've just highlighted that there. So in our working over here, I'm just going to do it over here. I start and I write out the formula, circumference equals pi d, and that means circumference is pi times d. So I write circumference equals pi d on the next line equals pi times whatever d is. Now we know that d is 12,755 kilometres. So I go to my calculator and I do pi times 12,755, And my answer is 40,071 kilometres, 0.0143. So I have to round that off, but it says round to the nearest kilometre. So I'll just go to the next line. And I need it to the nearest kilometre. That means to the nearest whole number. So I go 40,070. Now, is it going to be 40,071 or 40,072? Now, I look at what's after the 1 and it's a 0. Now, 0 is less than 5, so it's just going to stay as 40,071 kilometres. And that's our answer for question 15. That's the end of this little video. We'll start the next video from question 16.